Hello?
What's up, girl? What happened after Tony dumped you?
Girl, I'm over it. I went from heartbreak to hate.
What's up?
Hi. Oi, Joy. What was that all about? Got a lot of head shaking.
I was doing a
no
little
music.
dance. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta dance it out as you get yourself hyped.
You got a L3, man. L to the third power. Live, laugh, love.
Yeah, this is the reason you started coughing. Is
I know, Satan.
You don't believe any of those things.
I believe in living. I laughed recently.
That you don't believe in it, though. I don't need you to start telling me lies for my benefit.
Lies. Okay.
So yeah.
So how's life? What's going on? You got a new bed?
I do have a new bed, and it's amazing. It's wonderful to be off the ground, to have space. And in fact, I slept in this morning until 9.
And it's one of those beds that, if you're in the right position, will lift your ass up for the perfect pounding, right?
Not really. It's actually not designed for that. It's for your feet.
Okay.
Or for your head. I don't know. Now that I've tried it out, I don't know that you really could accomplish what you're talking about.
Does it not bend in 3 different sections? There's only 2?
It's only 2.
Ah.
Apparently, there's like an even fancier version where you can do more in...
Pounding.
I meant the bed frame itself could do more. And I think it even comes with like more controls and things.
Yeah, because some of them have those USB plugins so you can charge your phone directly through your bed.
Yeah, like it
underground,
gets
like
crazy fans. And the only reason I know that is because everybody wants you to do a motherfucking survey anymore. What is with that? Every single
Everything wants a survey.
thing wants a survey.
It's like 5 minutes ago, someone decided that surveys were a good marketing tool.
Yeah, I get like 8 surveys a day. I swear to you.
Do you remember when people used to ask you to do would you like to do a survey?
Yes.
In the mall?
And you'd be like, no, absolutely not. But anyways, neither here nor there. So I found out that way that there's a fancier version. But nonetheless.
So do you want the fancier version? Because sometimes I'm like, I don't have buyer's remorse, but I was like, oh, I should have waited a week and the new version came out.
That happens to me with phones.
Yeah, that's always the phone thing.
It's always the phone thing. It's like, because you tell yourself, I'm going to wait until this month and get the phone, and then everything will have come out. And then that's the 1 year that they release it in like an odd month. And you're like, motherfucker.
So does your bed have that street kit where it has the underground lights?
No, there is a version that has that. The street kit, the Fast and Furious version.
Yeah. Did you have like a big spoiler on the back? Do some Tokyo drift. Have you been Tokyo drifting in your bed yet?
I have not been Tokyo drifting. I've been just enjoying doing the regular sleep drifting.
Oh, that's all we're going to talk about. Got it.
Here's the thing. That this bed, there's something weird with, I don't know if it's because it moves or because I'm off the ground.
Sentient.
The kittens no longer wake me up in the middle of the night. Like, remember I told you I was going through this horrible time where every single fucking night at like 4 in the morning was really their banner time. 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. Hey mom, we want first breakfast and we need you to attend.
Right.
Because I free feed my cats, so they really could eat on their own.
Because your cats are like 80-year-old women who want that early bird breakfast.
They want that early bird breakfast, but they also need somebody to be there for it.
Right.
So this bed has actually cured them of that. Like, even if I get up, go to the bathroom because I'm an old lady, and sometimes you have to do that, go right back to sleep. They don't care.
Well, I'm glad it's not 3 a.m. because my nephew told me a couple months ago that 3 a.m. is when the ghosts come.
Ooh. So maybe we should just... We're trying to handle... He already knows about the ghosts.
Demonically possessed, yeah.
Well, we should keep that fact in our heads because we're trying to prepare for Halloween.
Halloween?
For the month of October.
Right.
It's not just a day for us. It's the whole month.
It's the whole month, and really, I mean, Halloween kind of is my year.
I
don't really have... Like, Halloween's nice and all, but it's like, Yeah. I like Halloween things all year long.
Halloween is a lifestyle.
By that I mean murder.
So anyways, maybe we could get off of all of that.
Yeah, I tried to segue to our topic earlier, but we didn't segue.
Oh,
So
my
I
bad.
said, remember when people would do surveys, ask you to do a survey?
Oh,
That was
yes.
that was my segue into our first topic for the month of September, because we're going to be talking about dating in the decades.
Yes.
Only the ones that we have been alive in. Well, we were alive in a lot of them, but we've been alive in 5 of them.
Yeah.
But realistically, we didn't know anything about dating
In the
in the
70s.
70s. I mean, I was
'Cause,
4,
you know,
5.
I was a year and a half.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I mean, I only had a couple dates in the 70s. So,
You're such a mess.
yeah. And those were like cookie dates,
I had
and you
one
slept
date in the
together on the
70s.
floor in the kindergarten room. What?
I had one date in the 70s. It was the date with the real world.
Oh.
You know that my new favorite game is to say something that I know will just make you make that face like you're going to vomit.
That might be why I almost vomited this morning. It was probably in anticipation of what was going to happen. You know when you like know something bad's going to happen and you get like a knot in your stomach?
Yes.
It was this point.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's over now.
So, 80s dating.
Yes, 80s.
Daties.
Oh, the 80s.
Daties.
Daties.
Yes. So the 80s were a marvelous time for the world, right?
They were.
I mean,
for the fashion.
Reagan was our president, and he was the best president ever. Lies. Horrible human being. Anyway.
But it was a great time for fashion.
Fashion's amazing. You're going to bring all these things up to me, and you know
know.
that I'm just down for it.
The shoulder pads of it all. The movies, which we can judge them now, but I mean, for the time, they were amazing. And dating was actually still somewhat pure then.
Purish, yeah. I mean, because we went
mean,
from like, if you think about the decades that we didn't exist in, but like the 50s, it was really, really pure because dating kind of didn't really happen still. It was a lot more like you met somebody and that's who you're marrying.
Yeah, we're courting. That's right.
For marriage. There was a purpose. There wasn't dating. And I think, the 60s kind of free loved, and then the 70s kind of reined that shit back in. And then the 80s was like, here, we got STDs now. Let's calm it down. And so it became like a play field, essentially. Like you could date other people. It wasn't destined for marriage.
No,
like it
you
was
could
free.
go. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into the other decades, but it wasn't even so much like once you went on a date that automatically meant you had to like be, like you said, in a relationship. Because some of the other decades we're going to talk about kind of go towards that slant.
Yeah.
A lot.
So,
yeah, 80s was still pure. People were still, and by people, majority, I'm going to say men. We're asking women to go on dates.
Yeah, well, let's just caveat this whole... We're going to talk this conversation through, but we did want to say that when we're speaking about this, gay people didn't exist in the 80s.
Obviously not. I'm going to need everybody to just know that. Facts.
So we're not going to be discussing gay dating because all that stuff was still underground, hidden. So we're not going to get into that too much, but we'll sprinkle some gay into it, I'm sure.
Sprinkle. Okay, yeah. So, still probably very much. I think there was like some girls asking guys out, like in high school and
I got asked out. I got asked out in junior high by Brenda.
Okay,
She
Brenda.
was my first black girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that later.
Okay.
So,
I mean, if you want to talk about her now.
I mean, we wanted to rewind a little bit because we were talking about earlier while we were sitting in a car waiting for our food to get cooked.
Yes.
And a horrible situation. But anyway, that I lived in Kentucky as a kid.
Right.
And that we dated at school early on. Like, I remember having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
84 would have been the first time that I had a girlfriend.
Which I said, wow. because I remember saying to you, well, we're not going to really be able to talk about our own experiences because,
That she didn't have any.
Because I didn't have none. Because
right.
Nobody in my area was really, you didn't go with anybody. Because that's what you did. You go, like, you want to go together? Go together where? But nonetheless, do you want to go together? None of that happened until middle school.
Well, so let's talk about our experiences, and we'll talk about the world that we weren't involved in because we were too young. So school dating, it was pretty much just I date her, or that's my girlfriend.
Right.
So it wasn't like
Just words.
It was just words that meant nothing.
You did the notes.
So yeah,
Yeah, notes.
notes were passed and those types of things. I mean, like my girlfriend Amy Romans, if you're still out there. She was my first. I won't say real girlfriend because that's not true. I mean, that's like but she was the first person we called each other. They were in a relationship, so she lived in a different trailer park than me.
Okay.
And I would walk to her trailer park sometime to see her. But we also rode the bus together because our trailer parks were basically a mile away from each other. But we were a boyfriend and girlfriend for a long time. So this was like
2 whole months?
No, like we were still boyfriend and girlfriend in like the first year of junior high, which would have been 7th grade. So we went from like, because in Kentucky you go to 6th grade is still elementary school, 7th grade is your first year of junior high. So at least it was back then. So we were together from 4th grade to 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
carried her French horn for her in junior high because she transitioned from the clarinet to the French horn, which I hear you do. Then I thought maybe she's a lesbian because she's got a French horn. No. I did think she was a lesbian. She probably is a lesbian, and we just, we were there for each other.
Yeah. So did you guys do anything risque in your dating experience with that many years?
No, we did get in fights a couple times because I
Okay.
came from an abusive family, so I felt that was important in a relationship to like publicly get into fights over stupid shit. Like, I don't remember everything, Joy. That was 35 years ago.
I mean, you remember every fucking thing else.
I know. But, yeah, so that was pretty simple. And then like in junior high, it got a little more serious, like with Brenda and Felicia was a girl that I dated.
Okay.
And had like
You're quite the ladies' man.
Sexual like things with Felicia. But yeah, so
Okay.
but that was junior high, so I was a lot older than you. I mean, I'm 4 years older than you, so that's 4 years is a big difference. And it was the end of it was 88, 89 whenever that happened.
You're
But
4 years older than you're 3 years older than me.
oh yeah. 3 is a big difference. It's a matter of
It is when you're young.
I mean, it's a matter of,
I'll give you that. When you're young, it is a big difference.
Yeah.
It's like, a whole other school of difference. So I get you.
So we were like, we would meet with groups of friends at the movie theater, the Ross, which I've talked about the Ross before, or at the mall.
Okay.
That's where the survey thing was supposed to lead into.
I get you.
Dating at the mall.
Sorry.
Which, like you said, you can obviously say what you said, what actually that was. Do you remember what you said?
Oh, yeah, because that was like, everybody's idea of going on a date, but not really a date, because you would, it's like a guy would get 2 or 3 friends,
right?
And then the girl he was sort of interested in would get 2 or 3 friends,
right?
And so then you just run around and hang out and do shit. So dating, but not dating.
Not dating, yeah.
Maybe go to the movies and just, cackle through the whole fucking thing. And
which,
yeah.
Those scenarios may have just obviously made me look more queer because my friends were women and her friends were women. So it was just a bunch of women and me. So I think that set me up for more gayness in the 80s. I'm dating all of them.
Right. That's not the way the scenario was supposed to go back then.
No, but no, I mean, sometimes my friend Nika would bring her cousins, Nico and Miko, and they were the real ladies' mans. Like they were having sexual relations. They were because they would tell me all about the stuff they did with the ladies.
Wow. Okay.
And they were really good-looking guys, so I don't blame any of them for.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I guess it was just a pure, for at least from our standpoint in our ages, it was a pure time,
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think even versus today, because kids in middle school are definitely, they're not maybe doing sexual things by then. They're definitely doing sexual things by then.
Yeah.
So still pure, but now the adults in the 80s, like we said, pure-ish. You know what I mean? Still being asked on a date.
Right.
And just because you went on one date didn't mean, necessarily you might never see that person again.
Right.
Or they might, they might, actually wait the prescribed 2 or 3 days, pick up their landline.
Ooh, wait, you're painting a picture here. I'm trying to get an image. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I know what my landline looks like.
Pick up that landline,
Mm-hmm.
the one with the long cord, because you want to be able to go into a separate room, get privacy. Okay?
Either you need the long straight cord to take the whole entire landline with you, or you need the super long curly cord.
The long curly cord is the one I'm
And
talking
you can
about.
go through and close the door.
I'm thinking a landline on the wall. Let's just paint a picture. The landline's
That
on
was
the
my
wall.
grandpa's house. Yeah.
Yes, and it's got the long curly
and you could
cord.
tell they had teenagers living in their house because that cord could go up the stairs
Yes.
and into the bedrooms, and like that thing was so fucking long, hanging on the wall.
Or you go around the corner, you lock yourself in a
Close
closet.
the door, go in
Yes.
the bathroom.
Bathroom,
Gotcha.
any of those things.
You were masturbating when you were talking.
No. So anyways, get on that landline, call the person up and be like, I really enjoyed our time the other day, and do you want to do that again? I'm going to spend money on you again. That was
Right.
another thing in the 80s. People were spending money. It's usually the guy. But the guy was spending money on the girl.
You know why they were spending money on the girl? Because movies cost $5 total.
For 2 people.
$1 to get in, another $2 for the soda, and $1 for the popcorn. So you got a $5 date.
Right.
So hell yeah, everyone was a big spender back. Now it's $45 fucking dollars. Unless you got someone who sneaks things in, won't look at anybody directly across from you. But would you sneak things in on a date? I mean, or would you not expect, but maybe because it's a new person, you would go for a thing.
Here's my thing. Sneak in what you would never pay for yourself. Allow me to explain. You're looking at me like, what the fuck does that mean? I always believe that one must sneak candy in to the movies. Because
She worked in a movie theater, by the way, so
I
we
did.
caveat that.
Exactly. I don't think it makes it anytime somebody would actually pay, when I did work at the movie theater, when somebody would actually pay $3.50 for a regular size ass box of M&Ms, I'm like, what are you doing with your life?
With 4 M&Ms in it.
Basically. I mean, the regular size maybe has 10. But it's like, I need you to get your whole life together, leave the house 4 minutes earlier, take your ass to the gas station, buy the M&Ms, put them in your coat, bring a woman with you, put it in a purse.
Here's a pro tip for you. Hit up Dollar Tree because they got the movie-sized candies for
do.
$1.
They do. If you really need it to come in that movie-looking box,
Yeah.
get it from the Dollar Tree.
Absolutely.
But you'll notice there's always gas stations right next to movies. You know why? Because people who own gas stations are fucking smart. That's why. They know what's going on.
Okay.
But anyways, so, on a date, maybe don't sneak the drink in, but definitely sneak in the candy if you gotta
I've
have the
seen you
candy.
sneak the drink in.
I know, but I'm saying I have paid for drinks before, so I'm just
Okay.
saying what you wouldn't ever pay for. I would
But
never
I mean,
pay for candy. In a
I'm
movie
just
theater.
saying, on a date, if you didn't know this guy, let's go back into the 80s. Let's take it to date to the 80s.
That's like a
So you're in the 80s.
Mhm.
You met this guy at a Jiffy Lube. You were both getting your oil changed, and you started talking to him because back then people still talked to each other when they were in similar situations.
They did.
So you are saying, "Hey, yeah," da, 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 and you drop the hint because he's kind of cute and kind of hot, and definitely kind of would have sex with him. But you're like, "Hey, yeah, ever since me and my ex broke up 2 years ago, da, 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 da." And so you just want to make sure he knows that you're single.
Right.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah, it's been a while since I dated this girl, blah 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 blah." And then you're like, "Yeah, I think I'm ready to check out a movie, blah blah blah. Have you heard of anything about Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Do you think it'd be a good movie?" And so then,
Yes.
so then you go to the movie theater,
And
and you're inside, and I want to remind you. Now, I'm not trying to save you, but I'm going to remind you that purses in the 80s were really small.
That's true.
Because you didn't really need a lot of things.
Some of them were. Some of them were medium sized.
But the cool things the girls were wearing were those tiny little fucking strap purses that were basically 5 inches bigger than a wallet, and they had nothing in them but a joint. So maybe a line of cocaine. Would you have snuck candy in on a first date?
Not if you're taking that purse. If I was married to the concept of that purse, no. But I'm going to tell you that there were medium-sized purses. Now, here's what I'm thinking is the perfect scenario.
Mm-hmm.
In that scenario, this is what I would do. If I had a medium purse that wasn't like, real obvious, cute, went with the outfit, you put the candy in the purse.
Mm-hmm.
And you just fill it out. He doesn't have to know what's in the purse. You know what I mean? You fill it out if it's kind of like a fun situation. You know what I mean? You sit down. You've got the popcorn and the drink maybe. Or you're just trying to decide. And if it's kind of like fun, laughy, jokey, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Somebody mentions something about one candy. You're like, ta-da, magic. You know what I mean? Or I would probably try to make a joke and be like, I don't know. Do you normally get candy? Or like... Because if so, bam! And if it seems like he's, stiffer, much more followed by the rules, never mention the candy at all. Stays in the purse.
By that you meant white.
That is not what I meant.
So you would sneak candy in on a first date for some guy that you just met at a Jiffy Lube.
Because you don't know if he's really my soulmate. He might be down for that shit.
I mean, he might. He might.
You're looking at me like it's not possible, but
no, I just didn't know because some people don't
dreams.
you don't give 100% of who you are on a first date. Obviously.
Well, and I guess even in the 80s, it goes back to the age that you are, because it's true when you're in your 20s, in your teens. Well, I obviously in this scenario, it wouldn't have worked for me personally because of how old I was. So it would have had to been fantasy joy.
You been 11, right? Because Roger Rabbit came out in '89. So.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
so that was the dating scenario for show's over. But other things, we were talking about the phone. What we left out, the big thing about the phone was that if you got their phone number and you wanted to call them, you could call them as many times as you want and not look psychotic and hang up on them every single time until you finally decided you wanted to talk to them 14 days later and they're already getting their phone tapped. But since you don't stay on the phone longer than 35 seconds, they don't trace it. So it's a good thing. But now...
But also there's no caller
ID.
No caller ID. And not everybody had even a answering machine.
No, because answering machines were expensive back then.
Yeah.
And by expensive, I mean, oval and white.
I think we did have our first answering machine in the 80s, probably at the end. But it was like one of those, almost like a tape recorder. I think it had the full-size tape in it. So we had one of those. I think my mom managed to find one at like a garage sale or something. My mom was a pro garage sailor. Okay. So like even shit that was like fairly new, like she knew the neighborhoods to go where people who had tried something for 2 weeks would then just sell it at ridiculously low prices.
Well, I mean, the stock market was crashing, so there was a lot of yuppies going like losing their jobs and their houses and shit. So
yeah, people
you could easily get like you could almost get a cell phone at that point because they had some of those back then.
The bag phones, yes, I do know.
So that's one of the things about dating. Phone was useful, necessary, not a distraction on the date whatsoever. So you could like hang out and not. I mean, if you hung out at home, the phone would ring and you could answer it or not answer it, obviously. Yeah. And you didn't have to like ignore them.
No, when you went out in public, you had to actually talk to the person because you're not getting texts, you're not getting call, you know what I mean? None of that shit.
It's kind of a nice thing, like because it's not always happening. Sometimes it happens where you both mutually put your cell phones to the side and enjoy each other's company, but sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yeah, don't I know?
Even right here today. On the podcast. She was mad because I was text messaging somebody during our conversation. But other things about the 80s dating. I think that's when we really started looking like you had to look like you needed to get a date everywhere you went. Like you dressed up for school.
Oh, right.
Because before people had like 4 outfits. They had their fancy clothes. Air Jordans were coming around, and those were getting guys laid, like left and right. in the 80s, you had to have status symbols, and one of the things I remember we had to have, if you did not have a jean jacket, you were basically dead. And the guys, we talked about this before, but you had to wear Adidas cologne. This was in junior high. There was Adidas cologne, and that was the only cologne guys were allowed to wear because that was the cologne all the guys wore, and you didn't even just wear it.
Did you bathe in the shit?
No, even worse. You brought it with you.
Oh no!
In your jean jacket, on the inside pocket would be where your cologne rested.
No.
That was the style thing. That was what guys did.
So, now, is it true or false? The reason these guys are running around with so much damn Adidas cologne was to try to counterbalance the excessive waves of Aquanet coming off of the females.
Or rave hairspray, yeah. I mean, alone, I think a junior high could easily implode with just like one good spark. Because everyone's hair. I mean, there was guys with hair like that in junior high. Like
hairspray did not discriminate.
I had that. I mean, I had the shaved sides. I had that that was referred to as the skater cut. Later came back as undercut a few years ago. But like that was my gig, and I have the hair that does not stay in one direction. So to have it stay in one direction, I was a rave kid. And by rave, I didn't mean LSD, having sex in a club, and that was out in some, old butcher shop. But the actual rave hairspray.
Yeah.
And I remember the smell. Oh, I can see the smell of that shit is in my nose permanently.
Aquanet too. If I go by and it's rare. You can still buy that shit somewhere.
Oh yeah, no. And what we would do with Aquanet was if the girls carried it in their purse, because some girls did have big bags, and they would have that big thing of hairspray in there. You would take it out, you would spray it in your hand, and you'd light your hand on fire, and poof. It's like having a flame ball come up out of your hand, and that's what we did a lot when we were guys. That's how you date in the 80s.
Okay.
You set your hand on fire.
It's funny you should mention the big can. It's because there were no trial sizes.
No.
This was before travel sizes. This was before everything.
People packed full bags
full
of things.
Size.
Yes, there was nothing.
Everything.
No one traveled. If you traveled, and you didn't. I think it's because you didn't have to pay for like extra baggage in airplanes and shit like you do now.
No.
So you could carry like 300 suitcases with you, all of them having all your makeup products. So I mean, motherfuckers even had like giant Mary Kay bags, like those pink snap bags of their makeup. I don't know why you need to bring your makeup to school, but yeah.
But yes, the hairspray of it all. The hairspray was like you had to have a certain look.
Oh yeah.
Your look had to say who you were. So like if you were in the dating market, you had to advertise what kind of person you were by what you wore. You know what I mean?
And I remember like very few black girls had braids back then. Most girls had the pressed hair.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where you'd, flat iron in the morning, and get it curled under, and have the big curls.
Yeah, braids were for younger.
Yeah.
Like maybe early middle school, younger. But once you thought you were grown,
you were
pressed.
And that's the thing is, I don't think a lot of white people even understand that while white women had those gigantic rooster hairstyles, black women were curling that hair up to get that height too. It was still there. It just wasn't like as trashy looking as some fried white woman's bleached hair that's been saturated with hairspray.
Except if you tried to use Aquanet, because that shit flakes like a motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Lessons learned the hard way.
If you're from the Aquanet company and you'd like to sponsor our podcast, please do so.
I was going to say, especially hairspray and hair grease. Do not mix.
Oh, do not mix. No.
Do not mix.
No. They're two different types of things. One's trying to keep your head moist. One's trying to dry the fuck out your hair.
But I'm saying, if you grow up black, it's like, you have to use the grease. Those are just the rules. The rules are changing. But those are the rules. You have to use the grease. You know what I mean? So that just lives in your head at this point. I don't care if you just washed it. It's basically still there. Put some more in, and then now you need it to not go anywhere.
But we didn't talk about the Jerry curl.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Jerry curl.
Because
people
were attracted to that.
They were. That's the thing. They genuinely were.
Like, people really
My mom dated this dude with a Jerry curl. Oh my God. He was nice. He was an amazing dude, but
yeah.
fuck that. Just drippy hair.
Yeah, my friend Kim Cabell, I think I talked about her before. Not Campbell, Cabell. She had a Jerry curl and always wore, because it was style, silk shirts.
Yes.
And silk and grease.
Oh, the silk of the 80s.
Yeah.
You are taking me back.
Like, she always just had dots on her shoulder from where her hair would drip.
That's true.
Oh, hey, Kim. Anything left for the 80s dating?
No, man. I'm like in a good place now. I'm just going to be dreaming about Jerry curls.
And remember that to be beautiful and natural is the birthright of every woman. And I wish you all loads and loads of loveliness and good luck.